Well, Syria is calling on the United Nations to stop Jordan's involvement in training terrorists on its soil. The Syrian Foreign Ministry has formally lodged a complaint with the UN against neighboring Jordan, urging an end to what it calls Amman's systematic logistical support for militants. The ministry says that Jordan not only trains militants but also facilitates the infiltration of terrorists into Syria on a daily basis. Syria has been gripped by a deadly and devastating crisis since 2011. It blames the United States, some Western countries, Saudi Arabia, Qatar, Turkey, and Jordan for the ongoing conflict. Damascus says these countries should stop funding, arming, and training the militants as the only way out of the current crisis. Press TV's Mohammed Ali joins us now from the Syrian capital, Damascus, to tell us more about this formal complaint lodged at the United Nations, where Syria is asking Jordan to stop its involvement in the ongoing conflict and war in Syria. Mohammed?
Yes, actually, Syria is not asking Jordan. It is actually asking the United Nations Security Council to take measures to stop the support provided by the Jordanian regime. And I quote here the Syrian Foreign Ministry, what it said. It described it as the Jordanian regime. It said also, the Syrian Foreign Ministry, that the United Nations should take measures to stop Jordan from carrying out such acts which of course are in support of al-Nusra Front terrorists. Now, the Syrian Foreign Ministry, as you have just said, sent two official letters to the United Nations Security Council and Secretary General speaking about Jordan's involvement in supporting terrorists inside Syria and on the borders. First, there are a couple of important points and strong messages by the Foreign Ministry. First, it said that the Jordanian regime is clearly supporting those terrorist groups of al-Nusra Front and allowing them to take over border crossings on the borders between Syria and Jordan. And also, Jordan is allowing thousands of terrorists of al-Nusra Front to cross and infiltrate into Syria, particularly to Busra al-Sham in Dar'a countryside. And this is, of course, according to the Syrian government, a blatant violation of the United Nations Charter and resolutions of fighting terrorism. And according to the letters of the Syrian Foreign Ministry, those acts by the Jordanian regime are increasing the suffering of the Syrian people. In addition to that, also several other important points mentioned here in the letters that the Syrian government made it clear that if Jordan was actually keen on the stability of Syria and keen to eliminate terrorism, it wouldn't have established training camps for terrorists on its borders with Syria, and it wouldn't have provided that logistic support to terrorists of al-Nusra Front. And finally, of course, once again, the conclusion of the letter is that Syria is asking the United Nations Security Council to take serious measures to stop Jordan from supporting those terrorists on its borders, of course, mainly al-Nusra Front.
Mohammed, the outcome of this letter is yet to be seen, but do you believe that this could set a precedent for Syria to take its complaints for the involvement of other countries to the the UN and United Nations Security Council as well?
Well, this is definitely not the first letter, and this is definitely not the first country that Syria speaks about clearly and sends letter to the United Nations about it. Previously, the Syrian Foreign Ministry has sent similar letters to the United Nations regarding the involvement of countries like Saudi Arabia, Qatar, and of course, for sure, Turkey, which has the longest borders with Syria, over 800 kilometers. We have heard during the Syrian unrest, the Syrian government sending tens of letters, actually, regarding the involvement of those countries in supporting terrorists on the borders with Syria, particularly Turkey, which is actually doing so in violation also of the United Nations resolutions that were issued during the unrest for stopping any kind of support for foreign terrorists and foreign armed men that are coming from all across the world, over 80 countries, through Turkey into Syria. Of course, definitely the Syrian government, by sending those letters, is making a clear point that first it knows about all what is happening of the acts, regarding the acts of supporting terrorists by countries like Turkey, Saudi Arabia, Qatar, Jordan, and other sides inside Lebanon, perhaps. And the second message is that Syria will do its best politically on the international arena to stop, to pressure actually those countries to stop such acts. But in the end, the only thing that can happen seriously and stop those terrorists from infiltrating, perhaps, and contribute to that is the Syrian army's efforts that are taking place all across the country.
Thank you very much. Press TV's Damascus correspondent Muhammad Ali there.